we're looking to save some money on cooling costs this summer, since it's blazingly hot. And one place that gets blazingly hot is the attic, so we're going to install an attic fan. So here's the gable vent. When I'm all done, I'll build a frame around it and stick a little cutout with the fan on to facilitate the cooling. So I'm going to be building a cross piece that goes this way. Then I have another piece that goes up here to frame in the gable vent, so that the fan completely encases it and will only blow out, no air coming back in. So, we're done. So I just nailed that way on the vertical studs, and then tacked down on each corner, or on each edge there. So that'll sit nicely in place. It doesn't need to be doubled over like I have it. I just had to cut up those extra pieces of wood so I wouldn't have them laying around. So next, I need to build an upright here to complete the frame. You'll see over here, that's about the gap that I want, so I'll create an equal gap over there. So then we just have the gable vent in the middle, and then the fan will blow out the vent. So, get working on that. Alright, so here is the gable framed up. Let me see if I can get a head-on shot. It's hard to see because there's some rafters in the way. But anyway, so I've got two pieces on either side. That's just, obviously it's not for structural support. It's so I can have more of a piece of wood to bite onto when I put on my mounting, when I mount the fan up on the wall. So that's what I'm going to do. I took my measurements, and now I'm going to go get my piece of plywood. My fan is 15 inches in diameter. The opening that way is 19, and it's 20 up, so be pretty good. Even fit. So I'll show you that one when I get to it. Alright, can't see this very well. So there's my piece. I just cut it out of a piece of scrap plywood I had. And I've traced out where the frame is going to be on this piece of wood. So up here is where the header will be. Here's the sides, here's the bottom, etc. So now I think all I'm going to do is take my fan, this in here, it's this particular fan, a Barone 1600 CFM Gable mount powered attic ventilator. So you can get it on Amazon for about 120, 130 as of the time of this. So I'm just going to put my fan on there and see what looks good. Try to center it up. Doesn't need to be exact because I don't think it is an exact thing. And that looks good. And now I'll just trace around it because I've got to cut this out with a jigsaw. And there we go. There's where we'll sit. So I'll get that cut out and get the fan mounted onto it. So here is the cutout. And I flipped it around because that other section, so this will be the side facing the gable vent, and around all these areas that are going to touch the wood, I'm going to put some weather stripping to cushion this and help dampen any vibration from the fan. So here is the fan. I added the mounting brackets onto it now, and I need to be careful because I have one of these sides as the top, so it'll be toward the roof. It's this side. So I want my electrical control to not be up there. I want it to be down facing the floor, so I can access it. So anyway, this will just sit in there a little bit recessed, and then I'll get these brackets screwed in. Got some rubber washers to put in there too. Help dampen more vibration. Because that seems to be the number one thing people complain about if they are installing attic fans, is that, oh, this thing made a ton of racket, or it vibrated everything. And I'm sure a lot of that stuff can be mitigated if you just take care to try to reduce the vibrations from the fan. So I'll get back to you when I got those things in place. Alright, so here's the fan all mounted up to that piece of plywood. So I just used 2 bolts here, small bolts, and a screw because I didn't have enough bolts to do 3 on each of these. And I use lock washers on the other side. And if you can see here, I don't know if you can, but there are rubber washers in there. So now I'm going to flip this over and I will put on this lovely weather stripping. Got it from the dollar store. So hopefully I'll get my $2 worth out of it. So here is the fan mount, all weather stripped up. The weather stripping turned out to be not as bad as I would have thought dollar store quality weather stripping would be. It's nice and spongy, which should make a good seal. Although you can see I had to put a bunch of staples in because it is not sticky. So that's probably why it was at the dollar store. But I just put it all the way around, made sure that I had some on each edge, and then the portion where the wood was going to be, I got some on there too. If I flip this over, you'll see what else I did. But you can see I put tape all the way around here to seal up that little gap. You can see that there's a little gap there where the fan doesn't meet up completely with the plywood, which is fine. So I just used some tape, some duct tape I had laying around, sealed up all those little edges, sealed up the places where the brackets were, because those would let air in too. So I just wanted to kind of create an air seal so that the only place that air is going to be moving is through this fan. So I've got that done. Next I'll be mounting this up on that frame up in the attic over the gable vent. So here's where I'm gonna mount the fan. I added this little lip here so I can mount this all by myself, since I don't have a helper at the moment who can lift it up with me. So I'll get that up there and start screwing it in and show you what it looks like. So here is the fan all mounted to the wall and in front of the gable vent. I've got these 3-inch screws, these big washers to help compress the weather stripping. And if you see down here, you can see it's pretty squished compared to its normal form. So that should create a good seal, so that the only air that's going to escape the gable vent is going to go out through there. So it's just going to push it in there. No air is going to be able to flow back in through there. So it should get a good amount of air movement. You see my previous shots, I had a rafter in the way, so I moved it up. You can see the difference there. Got an 8-foot one here, had to cut that down to 5 feet, so that there wouldn't be anything obstructing the fan, and so I can get a better shot. It was mostly for the airflow, not for shooting this video. Anyway, next step will be hooking up the wiring. The wiring diagram should be pretty simple, but I've never done any in-house wiring, so it should be fun. So here's the outlet where I'm going to be putting in my new switch for the fan. I'm going to use a 3-way switch so that I can have it, up for just override and down for normal thermostat use. I know people online, they like to have 2 switches and have a master and a override, but I didn't want to do that because I figured what's the point of turning it off? Probably not going to want that. Anyway, so this is the switch where I'm going to use it. This switch right here. There's already some cable running up into the attic. This controls the attic light there. So I'll just keep that on the same circuit. I made sure that everything else that's on this circuit the circuit won't be overloaded when I add the fan, which runs at about 4 amps. So I'll take this plate off and pull out some wires and show show you from there. Alright, here you see the switch plate off and most of the wires pulled out. This is the switch that goes to the attic. This works the hall light. One important thing to note is that the power is turned off. I guess that's one of those mistakes you'll only make once. I haven't made it, so. But this should turn on the light and it's not doing anything. You don't see any light changing. So power's off. I tested it with multimeter. Everything's good. I've been studying the wires, made my own little wiring diagram so I can put this thing back together when I take everything apart. Now I just need to get this box out and make the hole a little bigger so that I can put in my new box, which is going to be a 3-gang box, because I've got another 3-way switch that I'm going to use to control the fan. One of the things that I need to do now, this box won't come out by itself because it's nailed into this stud that's right there. Nothing over there. So you just just look this up on YouTube. You get a little hacksaw blade and you try and find the nail and where it is and where it's gouging into the stud, and you just try to free it up. There we go. So there was one nail holding it up here, one nail down there. Do the first one. Just showed you the second one. And now I should be able to take something like this. And now the box will at least cooperate a little more in trying to come out. I'm sure there's some flaps in there, so I'll have to deal with those. So I'll show this to you once it's out. So I've got all the wires unhooked. It's a big mess, but I've got, like I said, my little wiring diagram to help me through it. This box doesn't want to come out very easily, so I know I'm going to have to make my hole bigger for my new box, so I'm just going to cut that out right now. So now we've got all the wires out of the box. The box fought and fought, but I won. And we've got everything labeled. Got each of these wires labeled, so I don't need to try to keep them in a specific spot. But now I'm going to run the wire from the attic down into here. I've already drilled the hole, but I just need to run that down, grab it out, and I'll update it from there when I get to it. Alright, so I'm up in the attic. I've drilled this hole here. You can see where some of the other wires are going down into the wall, and if I just move back here, you can see that that's where the light switch is. So I just drilled a second hole over here to the right, and I'm just going to feed my 12-3 wire down through the hole and hopefully wire up that switch, and then the balance of the wire can move over there to the attic fan, and hopefully I'll have this up and running in a little bit. So I've got my wiring in place in my new box, and it was a pain. This one fought as well. You can see up here I've got my new yellow 12-3 Romex, and got the other things all in place, basically where they were before. So now I'll just wire them back up together, including the wiring for the fan and the new switch. Alright, I'm back from all my wiring extravaganza. You can see the rat's nest of wires, but they should all be hooked up correctly. Only time will tell. But I've got my new switch here. It's wired up to most of the yellow wires and hooking into the power, the hot black wire. Anyway, now I need to go to the other end of that yellow cable, the Romex, and hook that up to my fan, which is up in the attic. So I'll get to that and show you what that looks like. Alright, so I've got the wire snaked up to the fan, and I already installed the wiring to the fan motor as per the instructions of the manufacturer for using the bypass switch option. But I got it underneath some of these boards. It goes down here, it's underneath there. You can see that. But then I drilled a hole down there through one of the base plates and snaking it up here. Drilled another hole through there and wired up to the motor. The instructions from the manufacturer made it pretty easy to get the bypass switch installed, and the thermostat controls it. And right now I'm stuffing all the switches back in the box. Spoiler alert, I already tested it, but everything works, thankfully. That's why I'm putting the switches back in the box. If it didn't work, I wouldn't start doing that. That loud noise is the fan working. Everything was hooked up correctly, miraculously. But it wasn't too difficult. Just make sure you make a good diagram of where all your wires go when you started, and hook up your wires into the proper places when you're finishing up. So this one has a thermostat on it, so right now it's about 120 degrees in here. So if I turn this down, thermostat controls it, and so it just turns it off. But with that three-way switch we've got, I will show you how that works. So right now the three-way switch works such that the thermostat is being controlled when it's in the down position, and I will climb down here, probably cut this out. So now we're down to the switch, and it's in the down position, so it's being thermostat controlled. If I flip it up, you can hear that fan turn on. That's the bypass. So it's either thermostat controlled or the bypass, and everyone's happy. So that's the installation of the attic fan. I don't think there's too much else I have to do except for cleanup. So thanks for watching.